So Netflix just released another original teen horror movie, as if they don't already have enough of those. This time they called it There's Someone Inside You. There's Someone Inside Your House. Predictably, this movie is neither great nor terrible. It's just average, your typical teen slasher. No flavor, no style, no secret sauce. Forgettable. Hopefully though, talking about some of its more baffling decisions will make it at least a little entertaining. Let's see what happens. So the film opens up quietly with this house. I guess it's not that quiet. We quickly start following Jackson, the quintessential jock, whom the film does everything to make instantly unlikable.
Oh, I swear my sister is licking the powders off the Doritos and putting them back in the bag. Fucking body dysmorphia at age 8.
After he gets done talking to his friend on the phone, he then goes to sleep in preparation for a football game he has in a few hours. But when he wakes up, he runs out of the house and discovers that his car is gone. When he runs back inside to call the cops, the title flashes and tells us what it should be telling him. This is one of the very few enjoyable moments in the film, but probably unintentionally because the rest of the movie takes itself way too seriously. Once he gets back inside, he calls the police but hangs up when he sees a bunch of photos placed all across the floor. It must be something really threatening to his personal brand for him to hang up after thinking someone broke into his house. I mean, you were already calling the cops. Just let him know that there's an intruder too. Speaking of which, how the hell did someone get into his house and place all these photos around him without him hearing anything at all? He wasn't drugged or something. And man, whoever did this must have a pretty open schedule, huh? Like someone took the time to go and print off all these pictures and then carefully place them all over the place. Only a truly twisted individual would have the patience to do something like that. Eventually, Jackson goes into his closet and sees even more photos showing him beating some guy pretty badly. At this point, I don't feel sorry for him. Not just because he has apparently brutally assaulted someone, but also because he should already be gone, especially now. My guy, why haven't you left? Don't you have a game to get to? What do you have to gain by fighting this person? There's nobody in the house you need to protect. Clearly, they've already planned this. They literally set a trail for you and you still followed it. Come on, man. Predictably, the killer is hiding right there in the closet, and they immediately slice up his legs and kill him. At the football game, everyone in the bleachers gets a message at the same time. For some reason though, they all stop to check it simultaneously. Even the cheerleaders do. Now, how does that happen? Is this some alternate universe where everyone is programmed to instantly check their phone every time they receive a message? Well, as soon as they see it, they discover the horrifying truth about Jackson, that he beat up one of his teammates at some point. Wow. I don't know, I was hoping for something a little more over the top and interesting. A bit later, we arrive at Osborne High School, where we see another athlete singing as an ode to Jackson.
6 legs walked into the light, and we knew.
I had to skip that. Here, we are introduced to the main characters of the movie, Makani and her friends. Once class ends, they get into a car and do as all high schoolers do, smoke weed in the school parking lot. After getting home, Makani starts writing some poetry, making sure to play the most stereotypical teen song while doing so.
Can't be seen with you. You don't match my flight. Try to buy me lunch.
This song just bugs me. It's so abrasive and poppy. Just turn it off. The next day, as a student prepares for a service in honor of Jackson, the killer arrives again, revealing another secret about their soon-to-be victim. This time, a podcast starts playing and we have Katie talking about race realism and ethnic cleansing, unironically using the term libtard.
And yet these libtard academics who keep proclaiming to be the protectors of science.
Funnily enough, she's even wearing a white cloak, paying homage to a very notable clan. And then she dies. Later, Makani and her friends go to the police station for interviews investigating the killer. While they're inside, they see a creepy guy who has a reputation for being creepy. One of the friends, Alex, immediately blames him for the killings just because he seems like the killer. Sounds like pretty obvious bait to me, but who knows, maybe he'll actually be the killer. Then, the creepy guy, his name's Ollie, by the way, starts talking to himself and reveals that he and Makani had been in a relationship before school started, and that she hadn't been talking to him since then. She seems pretty uninterested, so I doubt this relationship will go any further. After they get done fiddling around with each other's diddlies, they both go to a party where everyone there is telling other people their secrets as a way to prevent the killer from having an advantage over them.
I have a YouTube channel where I try to sing opera.
Oh my god, I know.
But you're the one who's watching?
Yes.
One of the friends, Zach, talks about his father's Nazi memorabilia and invites everyone to start doing whatever drugs they have. This is followed by an uncomfortable slow-mo dance sequence with another obnoxious song playing.
Give me some of that, some of this, some of that. How you gonna do me like that? Walking here looking like a movie like that.
A few minutes later, the lights go out and everyone starts running around because the killer has arrived, this time wearing the face of another one of the friends, Rodrigo.
Shit, there's someone wearing Rodrigo's fucking face!
However, as soon as Rodrigo sees the killer, this doofus runs away from everyone else and lets the killer attack him alone. My guy, why would you run away from everyone else? I know the killer was walking right to you, but damn, if it was me, I would have gone with everyone else, and if the killer tried to attack me, I would have pulled in some other people to make them fight with me. Ain't no way I'm doing this with no weapon. Y'all gonna help me. Y'all gonna help me. Anyway, Rodrigo hides in a closet, and of course, the most stereotypically 2021 thing happens when he does so. His phone goes off. Alerted by the sound, the killer then breaks through the door and Rodrigo runs into a vent to escape. The killer keeps trying to stab him through the vent, but predictably misses every time. When Rodrigo finally makes it out of the house, this doofus walks away like he wasn't being attacked by a serial killer 10 seconds ago. So I don't even feel sorry for him when he gets tased, falls into a pool, and has his throat slit. Most upsetting of all was that his secret was that he did drugs. That's it? Drugs? Come on, man. A few days later, Makani goes on a bit of a road trip with Ollie. They go to a cornfield, which Ollie calls the ocean.
Not exactly the Pacific, but...
There, Makani recites a poem she wrote.
Forgotten as a fire that once was singing.
I had to skip that. After making out again, Ollie reveals that he knows more about Makani than he should.
I know you. I know who you are.
Adding to the suspicion that he's the killer. Okay. Makani then abruptly leaves in a fit of anger and fear after seeing a taser in the car and catches a ride from another creepy guy, this time named Dave.
It's always nice to have a nice girl in the car.
Dave then creepily asks if she's home alone.
Are you here all alone?
Yee. When Makani gets inside, she barricades her room and goes to sleep. When she wakes up, she sees that her stuff has moved and she walks around the house to search for an intruder. She eventually sees a room full of photos of a burned girl. Once again, the killer has somehow managed to neatly place hundreds of photos around without being seen or heard. The killer then breaks through a window and shoots Makani with a taser. Then they pour gasoline over her, grab a newspaper, light it on fire, and run away after Makani knocks them over. Alex then rushes inside and sees Makani on the floor, crying. Apparently having seen their face, Makani says the killer is Ollie, and she seems very sure of this. Case closed, right? No, the movie is still going. Later, Makani is at school, waiting to go to a corn maze, and Alex tells her to take the bus, but it leaves 2 seconds after the last person steps on. Like, y'all aren't gonna do a head count or make sure everyone's good? I mean, the bus leaves so quickly, like, damn, were y'all running late or something? Like y'all had to get there, like, immediately? Like, I don't know, it's pretty funny how fast the bus leaves after the last person gets on. After it departs, Makani sees Ollie pull up in his car. Still thinking he's the killer, she runs inside the building and finds another one of her friends. Feeling relieved, she hugs him, but as she does so, the killer stabs all the way through his body. The killer then hands Makani the knife while she's still in shock in an attempt to frame her, I guess. The killer runs away, and then Ollie rushes in from the opposite direction, making it pretty clear that he's not the killer, or at least that he didn't just stab Caleb. Though, I guess there could be multiple killers. Makani and her friends then drive to the corn maze, thinking the killer will strike there next. When they arrive, they see it has been set on fire. Then these kids, these brave kids, drive directly into the burning corn maze to clear a path for the students trapped inside. Makani and Ollie separate from the others and eventually find the killer in the maze with Zach's father.
Hey, asshole!
The killer looks right at them before turning back and brutally stabbing the man with a long blade. Frustrated, the killer takes off their mask and for some reason reveals their identity instead of just trying to hide again. And guess who it is? It's Zach. Oh my gosh, I thought it was Ollie. Man, this dude Zach was a menace. He was really chilling with his friends, murdering one of them and then acting sad about it with the rest. He then tried and failed to light another one on fire and then went to a hospital to support her the next day. Like, man, that's crazy. That's some Harvey Dent Two-Face shit. A truly twisted individual. He then goes on this tirade about how they ruined his big moment to kill his father.
You only get to kill your dad once!
Jesus.
Got the perfect thing to say.
Ollie doesn't care though, and pulls out his taser and tries to shoot Zach. Of course, it doesn't work, and Zach just runs up and stabs him too. Then, like all killers do, he explains his motivations to Makani.
I'm showing these people who they are! Who they really are!
During this jibber jabber, Ollie works up the strength to raise the taser, and this time, it fires. But he misses. Luckily, it distracts Zach, and Makani uses the opportunity to stab him. She then tells him how dumb his motives are.
What kind of fucked up logic is that?
Now, I've got to give her props because she stabs him again, just to make sure he dies, something most horror movie characters wouldn't do. She then goes to make sure that Ollie is okay. Will he survive? Yes, and now they're at prom. The film ends with Makani at graduation reciting another poem.
Gave itself like a secret. Whispered
I
once.
had to skip that. Man, this movie had so little potential and it met those expectations. It wasn't a terrible film, but it just felt so plain in so many ways. It didn't leave me thinking about it after I finished it and just felt like a slog to get through. For the most part, the characters felt so mundane and uninteresting. Each of their interactions had so little emotional weight to me. The twists and turns in the story were pretty predictable and ultimately didn't amount to much. They didn't feel enlightening or impactful like I wanted them to, making the movie pretty shallow. But I'm probably being harsher on this movie than I should be. Yeah, it wasn't particularly compelling or anything, but it certainly could have been much worse. It at least got a lot of the basic stuff. The acting was fine, the cinematography and music were serviceable, but it just never really went beyond the bare minimum, and ended up becoming yet another forgettable teen horror movie. Like, when they were making this movie, what did they think would stand out? What were they hoping people would remember? The only thing that held any real weight to me was that the killer wore a mask of all of his victims, and they tried to make a thematic point with it, but it ended up falling pretty flat. The weight of the killer's actions, how Zach was exposing the darkness of these people's lives, wasn't handled very well and ended up feeling like some haphazard motivation to make him a more interesting villain. He reveals something they're hiding but then kills them anyway, which kind of takes out the punch of revealing it in the first place. Wouldn't it be better for them to have to live with people knowing what they've done? I don't know. This film isn't the worst thing you'll ever see, and it's certainly not the best. Hopefully. But that leaves it in this awkward limbo where I would definitely forget about it in 2 weeks if it weren't being burned into my head from making this video. And that's it. Thanks for watching.